turtle, but let's have a look at the replay brought to you by View Mobile. Clear basic, he went in for a chase, and first was forced to flicker away. And this is where things get even more interesting. They know that Paulo is channeling the ult, and Scott, in that sort of a moment, clutches it off and cancel it in time to save members of Axis Esports. And it was only down to basic, but Rin still made sure that he gets a kill with that flicker coming out.
Yeah, and even with the falling star moon, Esmeralda got the shutdown but was not able to get out. So in the end, the shutdown doesn't really matter too much for Axis Esports because they got more than they came for. Scott MVP for that. Evo now getting ganged on, but he is a Grok pretty tanky. They can use the Divine Judgment on him, but they didn't pull him back, and that means Evo will get away scot-free. And guess what? Paulo Akenre is caught out again, and it will be this one going over to Evo.
Well, Evil X, of course, already took a lot of that damage, but it was Kenray who fall in that sort of a slight skirmish. But looking at GOSU members, they're slowly getting themselves back on track. Though a little bit late though, 6,000 gold lead still in favor of Axis, and that's going to be the buff being pulled over. And Paulo right now is getting that ult channel performance out of Scott, but no follow-up whatsoever from Axis.
And Rin is coming online on his signature Lunox 3-0-2 long as well. 3-1-2, the two calls from Axis Esports are on a roll, and Team GOSU feels like they are really desperately trying to make something happen. The only kill that they got was basic onto that shutdown on the Granger, but now another 5 Paulo immediately caught out. Not even have a chance to use that Aluminum Blast, and Team GOSU won't have a chance to defend this tower at all.
I feel like Paulo has been caught out a little bit way too much in this sort of early game fights, and now we're already in 7 minutes of the game, and that possibly shouldn't be the case at all for the side of Team GOSU, but of course they have to let this mid tower fall in that sort of sense, and Axis Esports here can just run free anywhere as they please. And speaking of that, Kenray getting caught out as well.
Yeah, no way out for Kenray. Another kill going over to the core of Axis Esports. Long now, 5-1-2. This Granger is absolutely massive. Blade on this best available. They're gonna get the suppress on the basic, but Team GOSU now, they have the backup. But keep your eyes on Rin. This Lunox is pretty scary. He's still left alone. Basic is in, but the brilliance from Lunox will keep her invulnerable for now. One kill goes over to Paulo, but it seems like Lassie will find Paulo in return. General now isolated from the rest of his team, and it seems like Axis Esports will find a win. 1, 2, 3 are down. Granger on the killing spree, and Axis Esports under 8 minutes will crack the base of Team GOSU.
That was technically a team wipe before Kenray even came back up online. Now, heading back into his ad play, Basic was trying to focus everything upon all these members of Axis, but Flicker coming out from the side of Scott to bait Paulo on towards the other corner instead. And of course, GOSU, all they could possibly do was run away, and they should not even commit towards that fight inside of the jungle, and they have to pay the price with that broken base.
The Malaysian Tigers have seemed to awaken after Series 1. Team GOSU Paulo, we talked about how he got caught up multiple times, and in all these scenarios, this Lolita just feels like ineffective all along. And with that being said, Axis Esports first inhibitor in the middle lane down. Not even 10 minutes in, the Lord will be spawning up pretty soon, and Axis Esports will be eyeing on that objective.
Well, first, we're having the Malaysian Tigers here looking for their very first win. Well, of course, it's so convenient that Team GOSU also has the dragon logo with them, so crossing Tigers with the dragon. Well, of course, jokes aside, now back into the game. GOSU here with need to stall for a great run, and General here not really having the best of weaponry to actually hit in towards the next battle, because the tanks from the side of Axis Esports has already emerged with so many of that sort of assists as well as goal, and they've already got all that they need to actually soak all those damage. But Scott here just waiting for any passersby, and perhaps one good hook will initiate the fight, and instead he hooks the minion.
Almost found, and that will allow Lassie to have free reign of this Lord. Marsha, one of those heroes that we know can solo this objective. Look at her go. The Lord does not stand a chance, and Lassie will be the new Lord, at least for now. Team GOSU, they have to deal with this onslaught of Axis Esports. The threat of Scott is always there, and it seems like Paulo will be the victim for the 6th time in a row.
Wow, 6. And no assist at all for the side of Paulo. It does they did get a kill somewhere in between the game, of course. But Team GOSU here, they seem to be having a little bit of that early jitters. Of course, this is, after all, their very first game in the entirety of the tournament, but hoping that GOSU here could make a little bit of that comeback here, as we see Rin here has not even dropped a single time. Same goes to Lasted, as well as Evil X and Lung on that Granger pick. He has already played a lot of that Granger back in MPL MYSG, and he's known as one of the best out there for the entirety of the season.
This power from Axis Esports was missing in the series against Burmese Goose, but against Team GOSU, they are unleashing the full power. The Guardian Barrier just come out onto Paulo, and Paulo now, with his Dying Grab, will have to hold this door as Team GOSU desperately need to defend against this potential final siege, and Axis Esports, they're just gonna go for the Crystal, and they'll bag their first win.
With the Lord marching right in, this will be the first victory round for Axis Esports. What a way to actually start off the entirety of this best of 3. But Team GOSU doesn't seem like they have any sort of replies at all in this first game of the series. Now, Axis Esports, like we talk about them, desperately needing points. And this is at least 1 point being secured by Axis, and another game will bring them the entirety of the match 2-0, which will give them a vital 3-point lead.
Yeah, and you can look at the faces of the members of Team GOSU. They are stunned by what Axis Esports deliver, contrary to the first series that they were watching. As the audience. This is an Axis Esports that they did not expect to face. And we talk about Team GOSU having those picks that they have not brought out yet from the qualifiers. Maybe the next game they want to attempt that.
Yep, exactly, and Evil X will be the MVP for this matchup, not even falling a single time, and he was in charge of setting up all those great wall charge over the wall, and of course, that path being blocked there, it will give Rin as well as Luke so much of that room to actually march for it and take down all their enemies. And of course, we've seen GOSU here only getting 2 kills thus far, so they definitely could have put up a better stand. And as we head in towards the recap of what just went on, this is the first blood heading in towards the top lane, and this is where Scott pickoffs after pickoffs after pickoffs. I feel like this guy is definitely one man that's pretty underrated.
And this is where Scott truly shine. And if there's one highlight reel that you want from Axis Esports, this is it. Look at Scott. The hook
is not even up. So what exactly are they actually doing inside the jungle?
And Paulo, there is slight criticism. The Lolita was hardly with the team. You can see that even in those moments where you talk about how he flashed to take down Scott, slightly unnecessary right there. He needed to be with his team. Sure, the Numenon Blast was out, but the fact that Rin managing to get up with that flicker, he should be the priority for Team GOSU. You can see 3 members were trying to kill off their Lunox. Suddenly, this Lolita just goes out of position, gets picked off. But if you're playing against a Franco, you always have to be careful of that surprise, that factor, the element of surprise.
That's right, and that definitely was that game-winning factor. This sort of a pocket pick strategy that Axis Esports still have under their sleeve. So, with that being said, will we see another Franco going into Game 2?
I think Franco is now a more reliable choice, a more prevalent choice, at least for Axis Esports. They have found success in Game 1, and Team GOSU, I don't think they would want to ban out this Franco just because they won it in Game 1.
That's right, and there's still so many of that sort of priority bans right out there. Well, of course, the same old Hylos as well as Export every now and then getting the pick or even ban. So maybe they might still focus on towards that. Or do you feel like Team GOSU is going to change that one up since Rin as well as Lung was so effective on that Lunox as well as the Granger?
Yeah, I feel like the ban should definitely go to the Granger, either the Granger, Lunox, one of them, and you kind of need to start not including Cho in the ban list. Cho has been picked once, I believe, yesterday, did not find success. Lucky was the one playing this hero. He felt really uncomfortable on it against RRQ. And if your goes right now, the Cho is just a pick that you are anticipating slightly a bit too much, but after Game 1, I don't think that is your main concern.
Yeah, I definitely would say that it's still pretty relatively safe if we still get that Chow off the table in that sort of sense. But then again, like like you mentioned, there's still so many of all these other sort of threats, and Granger could also be picked up instead of being banned, which I feel like is a better option than axing that one away, because Granger, of course, Death Sonata having such great range to actually snipe people away. That's definitely one utility that they could actually use in some of these team fights for Team GOSU. And in that sort of a trade-off that we just saw between two of these teams, I felt like Team GOSU hasn't really gotten all too much of that sort of elite at all to begin with. So they were just following the tempo of what Axis Esports just set up.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at Team GOSU's Game 1 draft, I felt like the Tamos was an okay pick if it was executed properly, which definitely was not the case. But if you want to put a replacement in there, Chang'e can easily replace the carry or the Tamos. You run the lineup without the marksman, the 2 mage 1 fighter, and it will still kind of be okay because you have the presence of that Lolita. Polo, you look at the Granger, you should be thinking to yourself, I need this Guardian's Bulwark to block out the Death Sonata. Never happened. Caught off, went for kills instead of protecting the team. There's all these crucial mistakes that seem really minor, but at the end of the day, Axis Esports just took it and ran with it.
Yes, and I would definitely say that Game 1, Axis Esports does look like the better team, and it's pretty much a straightforward run for them because a lot of all these members were all scattered, but now we're heading back in towards the draft and heading in towards this Game 2 here. We're seeing Kufra, of course, having one of the highest ban rates so far. What do you feel about this Kufra brand, and why do you think that teams don't really want to deal with it?
I had this discussion with IC Baby yesterday during the match against RRQ and VFM, where the Game 2 that VFM won, it was because of that Kufra. I was talking about maybe you can let Kufra through, but I was proven wrong. Kufra, the Tyrant's Rage, the Bouncing Ball, the Tyrant's Revenge, Tyrant's Wrath, and Bouncing Ball. It's just too much. Sure, he got nerfed, but his ability as a front line to disable mobility, to get that engaged, is just way too overwhelming for most of the heroes in this current meta to deal with. And it's just those picks that if you let it through, then you're basically reducing your chances of winning as much as it sounds ridiculous.
And it's pretty hard to actually catch out to Kufra as well, judging from the fact that, yes, there's those tweaks in terms of cooldown and such, but the chain crowd control that he provides is definitely one thing that could disrupt the entirety of a team fight. Now, we're also seeing Kaya as well as Export being rebuked, so we're just keeping some stuff consistent right here as we're heading in towards the later phases of this day here. And Team GOSU now trying to fight back, trying to go in with that reverse sweep. They need something that's absolutely different, and they should come with that plan B. And starting off, they are going in with the Hylos as it's being left out in the open. Of course, that Harrod ban here was something that was pretty interesting to me as well, because sometimes it's being left out in the open, and yet again, not many of these players are actually opting to pick up that Harrod. And I love how Team GOSU loves to also play with the camera.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be Lunox and Grok for Axis Esports. They have found their comfort zone, or should I say, Team GOSU gave them their comfort picks. If you look at the previous game, maybe it should be Xbox and Grok being taken out. Then you can safely take the high loss without having to worry about this front line from Team Axis, who has been causing so much trouble in game number 1. But instead, they let it through. They let the Lunox through as well. Maybe the Xbox and the Grok. Xbox, Lunox, and you let the Grok through. These are the considerations that you have to adapt on the go. But maybe Team GOSU, they have something else in mind because now they picked up the Marsha.
I'm really liking this pick here, and wow, we're having really solid front line sustain for the side of GOSU, so we know that they're going to be playing a lot safer than we're seeing as compared to what we saw in game number 1. And my GOSU here, they need a lot of all that sort of burst potential as well, so what should they actually go for in that second phase? Because Axis Esports here will possibly go in with either a marksman pick to actually finish off this sort of round. But if they do go in for a marksman, which means that there will be a little bit less of that tank for them. And of course, they could not
have the last, they won't have the luxury of counter-picking Axis Esports when the ban phase ends.
Well, I would definitely say the same as well. Like, there's only so little options left for them. And now, with even Chang'e getting taken out, well, there's definitely that preemptive move coming in from the side of Axis Esports. And I'm really liking what I see so far. And now we're seeing another Bruno to come into play. So with this sort of a lineup, we can see great DPS as well as burst coming from the side of Axis. But for GOSU's side, how are they going to respond to this? Yes, they got great tanks. Yes, they can go in for some split push, but they still need a little bit more of that sort of damage output to actually take down Axis if they were ever to commit in towards a full-blown team fight to fend off against Axis.
Yeah, and Axis had the same thought as well with that Chang'e ban we talked about. You look at this robust lineup. The only thing missing is probably Chang'e or maybe the Gord. I pointed it out earlier on, and I think this is the clearest choice that Team GOSU could consider. So they're locking the Gord, they're locking the Kimi, Marksman Kimi in fact, and this is going to round out possibly the final lineup for this series if Axis Esports were able to find an answer to it.
Now looking at GOSU's side, early game may not be exactly all too efficient going in for them, but of course they won't be relying on that Kimi pickup right here. And for the side of Axis, one last pick to actually secure themselves either 3 points or even stalling things out into only securing 1 point. Of course, Axis having lasted here, still deciding 15 seconds left, and wow, I'm already liking what I see with all these sort of picks going for Axis, and they could even go for another fight out, which they've already had their eyes set on towards that Thomas. So this is going to be pretty much that sort of consistency that they will have, and now we're already seeing both sides already finish up their draft. A lot of flickers have been being picked up right here, and nope, there's not going to be any other difference other than the Revitalize that has been brought in for Paulo. So this is definitely going to be that sort of righteous pathway, followed by that Revitalize to go in with that amplified healing inside of its zone.
Absolutely, and GOSU, interesting observation as well is that Paulo is not on the Lolita. He's gonna play the Hylos because Lolita doesn't feel like he was comfortable. So maybe GOSU made some adjustments. Right, you for the Lolita. We'll give you the Hylos. Maybe this is where Team GOSU, like most of the teams out there, they needed time to warm up. Maybe this is the game that they can take it back. The Golden Kimi was kind of expected. And the Tamus as well. In response to Masha, most of the time we've seen Masha Tamus. But statistically, Masha has a slightly higher win rate, at least throughout day one. So we'll see if Axis Esports can turn it around with this Tamus pick.
Well, I would also say that from the other side as well, GOSU is also trying to bump that one up as well in terms of statistics. But well, I do like the fact that they actually swap out Paulo's Lolita and towards that Hylos pickup right there, because Hylos have so much more mobility as compared to Lolita. Once Lolita commits to any sort of fight at all, she could not even escape. And that was that sort of situation that Paulo was stuck at in game number one. Now, having a little bit more leeway here, do you feel like GOSU stand a chance against Axis Esports?
I definitely would like to believe so. You like the draft of Axis. I do like the draft of GOSU as well. Just like game one, it looked robust, but what I'm concerned about, or what I still have doubts about, is probably the execution. But we'll see if Team GOSU can prove me wrong. Game number 2, it is best of 3 against Axis Esports.
Axis Esports now already getting that one victory, so they need one more to tie things up. They've already lost one series against Burmese Gold, and at least that 3 points will definitely be a real huge joy factor for them to actually make a comeback. But GOSU here already proxying the wave, trying to actually chunk it down, not really damaging the side of Lung though, as Scott is coming here for the support as well. Breezy getting standing down, forced to flicker away in this early phase as Jarno as well. Wow, that's definitely going to be causing them a little bit of a commotion as well, hitting towards the mid phase. Yeah,
that is just underestimating the power of this Valier. The Soul's fireballs do slow you in AoV, and he gets one charge every time he lands it, and the accuracy from Scott has been on point. Just like his Franco hook, he's confident with those skill shots, directing them on top of Team GOSU. 2 flickers out. Breezy now does not have it. General does not have the flicker. It's going to be easy for Axis Esports to collapse on them if they want to.
We're looking at Scott right here, slowly making sure that he zones away some of all these members. But
oh, they found him!
First blood.
My flame.
I got no words for that.
You overstep, and Basic is ready, but seems like GOSU will lose Kenray in the bot lane. A bit overextension. They trade 1 for 1, but if you are Team GOSU, that opening that was given over to God, perfect.
That definitely was a show of excellence coming from the core. Great stun, and of course that channeling element was a full channel to actually secure that first blood as well. But Basic here already spotting out
again.
Scout for the nurse round, and Flicker has to be utilized here. And GOSU here with all 4 members being committed towards the top side. They might lose a little bit of that sort of EXP, but that doesn't matter. They've already got all that sort of pickup that they need, and they're well secured to take this first turtle down.
And we talked about how Team GOSU seems to play a more conservative playstyle, and they are doing so. The ultimate was used, channeling Omen by Basic, so no core ultimate to work with for this next fight if it ever happens. And Access Esports, they're gonna rotate all 5 members into that middle lane. Last is waiting in the wings. Team GOSU now, it's their turn to go on the offense.
Wow, we're seeing members of Access Esports still on level 3. But look at GOSU though. All of them have already got their ultimates and now grouping up already. And they could definitely go in for a little bit of that invade without actually risking all too much. But instead, they lock their eyes on bottom side. They want to pick up Lasted, and Lasted knows that he's being surrounded. But Lasted already gets a little bit of a helping hand coming from.
They got the stop. Glorious pathway is brilliant. They are not really phased right. They are willingly trading these objectives because they're getting more. Economic-wise, they're up 1.3k. And just to slightly mention, after their first 2 flicker that Team GOSU expanded, they immediately rotated Basic to punish Access Esports over aggression. Scott was way too confident to walk forward, got picked off. Team GOSU right now, they can take this fight.
And Access Esports need to find a little bit of that sort of a mistake from the side of GOSU to punish them. But Access here, at least, trying to hold themselves all together. 2k goalie, not too far off. As we see, Access still trying to...
Got the second turtle.
And wow, Access Esports, they may not get all too much of that sort of a turtle trade-off there, but look at the team fight. It was executed perfectly in a sense. Look at the position he's at. He picks off Breezy and immediately flickers for the next kill. Though he is getting chunked out by Kenray, there was enough backup time from Access to still do a little bit more of that trade, but that's pretty much well and fine. And Access Esports found that momentum, and they are currently tying things up against GOSU, only having very slight margin of lead.
Yeah, and if you're Team GOSU right now, one of the best ways to punish Access Esports is that aggression. We've seen time and time again. Lasted did the same mistake in Series 1. Just now he was long on the Bruno, but the wild traps will come in. Polo not going down just yet. The damage is dead. The Numinous Blast actually stuns. They found a target. They can switch their attention onto Scott, and Scott is out. The stun will stop Rain in his tracks. The Guardian Barrier not able to block out Polo, but Breezy definitely another stun from Basic, keeping Rain in place. But Long will find one, as well as the Grub. 2 kills over to Access Esports. And Team GOSU, they will be forced to retreat.
Wow, what a bloodbath coming in through the mid lane. And as we see, great dives coming in from all these members of Team GOSU. But that wall by the Grok has already negated Breezy's exit. And look at Evil X right here. He was getting zoned away, which means that Scott was being left out to die. And Evil X could only clip out at least one member of the side of GOSU, and they managed to bring him down. So that's definitely some great work. But heading back in towards that sort of the matchup that we see now, GOSU might have lost that sort of a kill lead in that sort of sense, but goal is actually not too far away. There's still time for them to catch up once again. Evil X has purchased that Athena shield and at least have a little bit more tankiness than what he used to have in that early phase. And now this is going to be the turtle here, and Access Esports wants to actually get a little taste of that. And what could they possibly pull off? Turtle already dropping low, and they're committed to this fight.
Lone coming in from the back, trying to go for the flank, and he will find one immediately. He does flicker, misses that. General will survive, and here comes the glorious pathway from Paulo, the maximum blast onto Long, and Long has to now back up because of Basic. Evil still chasing with that power of nature, not able to find any kill. Actually, a clean disengage from Team GOSU though. They do walk away with the turtle, I believe. Access Esports will try to push out the tower, but again, another great start on the Scott. Basic was a marksman, is a marksman. Team GOSU, they fend off Access Esports.
Clean as a whistle. Team GOSU managed to secure all these turtles without actually risking their lives. And Breezy, as much as we see them having a shaky start in Game 1, Game 2, they look like different monsters in this matchup. Henry being forced to flicker away, but they're still giving a little bit more chase. But Scott will not go into that hot pursuit. So we need 2 seconds left before the first Lord will appear towards the lower side of the river. And look at GOSU. now that they could slowly take their sweet time, reset those waves, and prepare for the next fight. But Axis Esports here are securing this rotation in towards the jungle, and they are trying to block the entry points and looking for the kill over bot side.
They want Kenray dead, and Kenray will try to buy time. The rest of Team GOSU can come to the clash. Kenray just going beeline towards the rest of the team, but Ring will find a kill first. Glorious Pathway a bit too late, but Polo will go for the engage. He sounds the Warhorn. Evo's going on top of General, but there is Breezy in the back line. The front line is actually split for Team GOSU, and this is perfect for Team Axis. They want to collapse back in. The Omen, the Channeling Omen is there for basic, but the damage was not enough. And now the Guardian's Barrier will find the goal. Evil X will make sure Team GOSU goes down, and Axis Esports find 3.
That was a huge swing, and Axis Esports now looking to secure that mid lane tower.
Guardian for Axis Esports. Scott does dodge the bullet right there, and now Long will try turning around. Breezy with the Guardian's Borrow will try to block it out, and he will do so. So the Lord will be disengaged by Axis Esports. Team GOSU still managing to fend off that attempt.
Now waiting for a little bit of that sort of a reset, heading towards the top side here. They want to shove in all those ways before going for any sort of that Lord attempt. They could even send one member off from the side of Axis to actually take down Lord while they're at it, and Evil X has already spot out Paulo for General as well, so it won't be any sort of that full commitment coming from either GOSU or even Axis. But look at Luke though, he's already bringing it down to 60%, and now GOSU has responded it out, and it will be a little bit of a reset.
Glorious Pathway does keep Paulo alive for now, but it seems like Rin's could jump in, not gonna find the kill, and eventually does actually Breezy. Now not even then, Illuminum Blast only onto the valley. The flicker from him was perfect, and the rest of Axis Esports goes for the collab. 1, 2, 3 for Team GOSU, falls like dominoes, and Axis Esports, they might not need the Lord for this one, as Team Malaysia now will look for the inhibitor and possibly the victory as to take down that high ground tower, the inhibitor. As the Kenray desperately coming back, but the Malaysian Tigers will rejoice. They lock in the first 3 points of Group B.
Axis Esports came back swinging, and as much as they may have lost their first series against Burmese Gold, they are on fury form for this series against Team GOSU. Now we're seeing a 2-0 victory, which means they will secure 3 points and tying things up with all these members of Burmese Gold. But then again, if we count the head-to-head, it is still not really in that favor of Axis Esports in that sense. So
yeah, Burmese Gold with a convincing 2-0 against Axis Esports. Axis Esports brought that on upon Team GOSU. Again, Team GOSU